see the topic today. So yeah, five angas of bhakti and importance of holy dham. So first we'll be talking about this in general plus first anga of bhakti. So as we usually always do, so somebody can read one paragraph at a time, and now as somebody is reading, please make notes, and no, we will come back to those points and discuss in detail. Okay. So if you are using mobile, I mean, if you have pen and paper, it will be good. Otherwise, you can note it in the mobile or laptop, whatever you are using. Okay. Who would like to read? Who would like to start rather? Mataji, you are going to read, I think, right? You can start, Mataji.
Who, Prabhuji, me?
Yeah.
Okay. Five Angas of Bhakti and importance of Holy Dham. Practice means employing our senses in some particular type of work. Therefore, devotional service in practice means utilizing our different sensory organs in service of Krishna. Some of the senses are meant for acquiring knowledge, and some are meant for executing the conclusions of our thinking, feeling, and willing. So, practice means employing both the mind and the senses in practical devotional service. This practice is not for developing something artificial. For example, a child learns or practices to walk. This walking is not unnatural. The walking capacity is there originally in the child, and simply by a little practice, he walks very nicely. Similarly, devotional service to the Supreme Lord is the natural instinct of every living entity. Even uncivilized men like the Aborigines offer their respectful obeisances to something wonderful exhibited by nature's law, and they appreciate that behind some wonderful exhibition or action there is something supreme. So, this consciousness, though lying dormant in those who are materially contaminated, is found in every living entity. And when purified, this is called Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. So some other devotee can continue. So everybody is able to see the screen. Anybody is not able to see the screen? Krishna, all devotees are able to see.
Actually, I don't see the screen, sir.
Yes,
There
Prabhu,
are,
we can see.
so Sushil Prabhu, you are not able to see.
Yeah, the screen share, the PDF actually I don't see properly.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hmm?
Yeah, now I am able to see. I joined by laptop Prabhuji. Am I audible Prabhuji?
Yeah, I can hear you, Mataji.
Yeah, I can read Prabhuji. I don't know where Mataji has stopped.
So some mobile, I think people are joining from mobile has some problems, I think.
Yes, Prabhuji.
So here, from here you have to start, Mataji. So can you see the mouse
Yeah,
cursor?
yeah. Yes, yes,
There
Prabhuji.
are certain prescribed methods.
Yeah, I will read Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. There are certain prescribed methods for employing our senses and mind in such a way that our dormant consciousness for loving Krishna will be invoked as much as child with a little practice can begin to walk. One who has no basic walking capacity cannot walk by practice. Similarly, Krishna consciousness cannot be aroused simply by practice. Actually, there is no such practice. When we wish to develop our innate capacity for devotional service, there are certain processes which by our expecting and executing them will cause that dormant capacity be invoked. Such practice is called sadhana bhakti. Nectar of Devotion, chapter 2, page number 20. Rupa Goswami has stated that five kinds of devotional activities, namely residing in Mathura, worshipping the deity of the Lord, reciting Srimad Bhagavatam, servicing a devotee, and chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Hare,
Hare Ram,
Hare
Hare Ram,
Ram,
Ram
Hare
Ram, Hare Hare, are so potent that a small attachment for any one of these five items can arouse devotional ecstasy even in a neophyte. Nectar of Devotion, chapter 13, page 109. We'll now get into the details of one of the angas. Importance of Holy Dham. Whether to continue, Prabhuji?
One second, I will just share the PDF. So devotees, I have shared it earlier, no? Do you have it, or should I send it again? Maybe 1 second, I'll just share it so
No,
that
you shared earlier level program, Prabhuji, not this one,
okay,
I think.
I will just share it again so that you can open the PDF then. Okay, I just send it in the share. You're able to download. Can you see it? Sushil Prabhu, are you able to see that?
Yeah, Prabhuji. I'm downloading now. Yeah.
Okay. So when somebody is having problem with the screen share, I think sometimes people who are using mobile, they are not able to see. I think so. You can download it and have a look at it. Okay. So let's continue. I think some people are. Somebody is joining and leaving. We don't know who is coming and going. It's very difficult actually. Okay. Now again, yeah. So let's continue. So who wants to read next?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, maybe I'll read. I'm also in mobile, but I could see.
Ashok Prabhu. Yeah.
Not Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu. You can read actually. So you can continue from where we stopped. Importance of Holy Dham.
Importance of Holy Dham. It is stated in Puranas, persons who attempt to visit the holy places of pilgrimage like Vrindavana, Madura, Dwarka are actually glorified. By such traveling activities, they can pass over the desert of material existence. In the Haribhakta Vilasa, Haribhakti Subhodaya, there is a statement about the benefit of visiting the temples of Lord Krishna. As we have explained previously in Vrindavana, Mathura, and Dwarka, the system is that all the devotees take advantage of visiting various temples situated in those holy places. It is stated in Haribhakti Siddhodaya, persons who are impelled by pure devotional service in Krishna consciousness and who therefore go to the deities of Vishnu in the temple will surely get relief from entering again into the present house of mother's womb. The the conditioned soul forgets the trouble of living within the mother's womb during the birth, but it is very painful and terrible experience. In order to make an escape from the material condition, one is advised to visit a temple of Vishnu with devotional consciousness. Then one can very easily get out of the miserable condition of material birth. Nectar of Devotion, chapter 9, page number 76. In the Padma Purana, there is a statement about the importance of living holy places like Mathura and Dwarka. It is stated there to travel to different places of pilgrimage means to attain emancipation from material bondage. This emancipation, however, is not highest perfection stage. After attaining this liberated stage, one has to become engaged in devotion service to the Lord. After attainment of the Brahma Bhuta, Srimad Bhagavatam 4.30.20, liberation stage, one can further advance to engagement in devotion service. So this attainment of transcendental loving devotion service of the Lord is a goal of life, and it can be achieved very easily for one who lives in Madhura Mandala even for a few seconds. Prabhu, shall I continue?
Yeah, I think you can continue, Prabhu.
Yeah. If further it is further said, who is that person who will not agree to worship the land of Madura? Madura can deliver all the desires and ambitions of the fruitive workers and the salvationists who desire to become one with the Supreme Brahman. Certainly, Madura will deliver the desire of the devotee who simply aspire to be engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. In the Vedic literature, it is also stated how wonderful it is that simply by residing in Madura even for one day, one can achieve a transcendental loving attitude toward the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This land of Madura must be more glorious than Vaikuntha Dhama, the kingdom of God. Nectar of Devotion, chapter 12, page number 108. Most fortunate is that land. Say that all the rishis or sages, our one who resides in the land of Navadvipa is genuinely greatly greatly fortunate, for he obtains pure love of Krishna. Whoever goes to any time to visit Navadvipa becomes freed from all offenses. Whatever a pilgrimage obtains by wandering to all the holy places is obtained simply by remembering Sri Navadvipa. This all the scriptures sing. A person who simply sees Navadvipa gets the great fortune of love for Krishna birth after birth. Even one who practices karma or buddhi yoga never again takes birth. He goes to Navadvipa. If a person wanders in Navadvipa at every step, he obtains the result of 10 million horse sacrifices that they are too stated in all scriptures. If one recites there and chants his given mantra, the mantra becomes Lord Chaitanya, and so he is easily delivered. What is yogi obtains in other holy places. After 10 years of practice is obtained in Navadvipa by practicing for only 3 nights. The liberation obtained in the other holy places by knowledge of Brahman is obtained simply by bathing in the Bhagirathi in the Sridhama Navadvipa. The five types of liberation achieving in the same planet as the Lord, getting from similar to the Lord, obtaining opulence equal to the Lord, getting direct association with the Lord, and merging into Brahman affiliations can be obtained in Navadvipa even without one's knowledge. By those who desire such liberation, falling at the feet of pure devotees in Sri Navadvipa, material enjoyment and liberation always remain their maid servants. The devotees, however, beat these two and try to drive them away. But still, these maid servants do not give up the lotus feet of the devotees and run away. What one obtains, O brother, in the 7 holy places after 100 years obtained in Sri Navadvipa by residing there a single night. That Navadvipa Dhamma is the essence of holy abodes. In the Kali Yuga, the living entity can cross over the ocean of material life by taking shelter of Sri Navadvipa. The 2 fields of knowledge called Taraka, crossing over the ocean of material existence, and Paraka, obtaining the other side of the ocean, continuously serve the residents of Nisran Navadvipa as a matter of ordinary course, taking great pleasure. The science sings Bhakti Vinoda, who desires is the shade of lotus feet of the Lord Nityananda and his eternal consort Jahnava Devi. Thus ends the first chapter of Sri Navadvipa Dhama Mahatmya, entitled The General Glories of Sri Navadvipa.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you, Ashok Bro. Thanks very much. Okay, everybody. So, hope all of you got the material, right? So, what we will do is that we'll make points one by one, and then actually we'll discuss them. Okay, so it is today's topic in the sense it's a little long, but I think we should be able to cover. Okay, so I'll make notes actually. So whoever is ready with points, now I'll take the notes. Maybe we can give a few minutes of time, to again read if somebody wants to read. But meanwhile, if somebody is ready with the points, you can let us also know. We can start noting down.
Prabhu, each paragraph wise, or we can give from anywhere you are saying?
Anywhere, bro.
Prabhuji, one point is living in a holy place. Importance of living in a holy place.
So that is the entire topic, no?
Prabhuji, I'd like to see the screen, Prabhuji, for a
Yes,
few
ma'am.
seconds.
Yeah, sure. I'll come back, Mataji. Yes. Okay, so otherwise, should we go paragraph by paragraph? As Ashok Prabhu said, that also is fine. Maybe I think that we can do also. So if some people are not able to see the screen, no? Then maybe we can go first paragraph. What are the points we can discuss? or the first two paragraphs? You can see first two paragraphs, right? These two paragraphs, let us take the points and we will discuss.
Like devotional service practice. What is meant by practicing devotional service? Something like devotional service in practice means.
Okay. Okay, what are the other points, devotees?
The second point is, Prabhuji, devotional service is a natural instinct.
Okay.
What is sadhana bhakti?
Okay.
Like we already covered this, the 5 kinds of devotional activities.
Mhm. Is it was some mistake was there? I was just thinking, did we note it correctly? I don't not sure. So it's good actually. We can again revise. Okay, all the points are covered till now. Okay, let's discuss the points which are. Okay, so Niveda Mataji, you can start actually. Devotional service in practice. This point you can elaborate.
Yes, Prabhuji. Like it is stated here, practice means employing our senses in a particular type of work. Here mainly it is mainly on the devotional service, like putting our efforts on the devotional service so that we can get purified and get attachment towards the love of God and get attachment towards His holy name. So for achieving that devotional service, we need to practice. We must make our different sensory organs in the. We should use those things in our service of Krishna only. Like whatever the sensory organs, we have to use in the service of Lord Krishna. Some of the senses are meant for acquiring knowledge, and some are here it is mentioned, and some are meant for executing conclusions of our thinking, feeling, and willing. So uh, practice means employing both mind and senses. Not only our senses, we should make our senses to involve in devotional service, but we have to make our tune our mind also to be fully employed in the to make the to towards executing practical devotional service towards Lord Krishna. Uh,
Yes, Mataji.
yeah. For
More.
example,
Mhm.
this for example, every human being in every living being, in every soul, this is by default the devotional service is inherent in every living entity in the soul. Like when we see something nature wise, and how we get by we get happy, and by seeing that automatically, like that our devotional service is by inbuilt we have. Only we have to bring it out with the help of uh, any pure devotee can guide them to bring that out, or we can pray Lord Krishna so that to get the real happiness, what we are aspiring. To understand what is the real happiness, we should go to the shelter of Lord, or a guru can help us. For example, like we will be tending towards any service, like we will be servicing, we'll do the service for the kids, or helping in the household activities, cooking. And everyone will be doing service to one or the other way. So that is inherent in our in us, in all living entities. So the service attitude is we should use the service attitude to the main reason, like towards the putting our this service attitude more towards the devotional activities towards the Lord Krishna. Because serving, for example, serving in the plants is giving water to the roots. It will give pleasure, give all the nutrients whatever required for all parts of the body. That itself, like that, if you serve to the Lord, then all our sensory organs, like mind or all other sensory organs, will get automatically get um, they uh, they will get happy.
Yes. Okay. So how to practice devotional service?
Mainly
practical-
by chanting. Chanting is the first and foremost thing. Yeah, like and as here it is mentioned, 5 devotional activities. One among them is also if one follows one of 5 angas of the bhakti, even if you perform one properly, then we can definitely it will be helpful for to practice to improve our devotional service. Practically.
Yes. Very nice. Yeah. Okay. So what is the importance? So it's saying in practice, right? So
Practice can be like chanting, I can say, Prabhuji, and like however preaching is also an important practical devotional service,
yeah.
and the book distribution, or yeah, and it can be like a deity worship, or helping other devotees.
Yes.
Yeah, am I
So
audible, Prabhuji?
yeah, I'm audible. I think small echo is there. So
Yeah.
see, what is very important actually, so generally people think that what you call traditionally, bhakti means it is something like idle activity. People used to think like that, just sit at home and like, and okay, it is between me and God. That is enough. I don't have to tell anybody, just I have bhakti in my heart. That is sufficient. So this kind of a mentality is there in many people. So how is it different from devotional service in practice? So what is the importance? Like if it is just like that, no, what is the problem?
So
If I say
definitely we will not be able to progress, and we can't gauge our progress, and we will definitely will fall very easily, and
yes,
very difficult. After that, it is very difficult to again start walking back, progressing back. So
hmm,
rather than doing that blind practice, will association with the devotees is mainly important, so that we will not fall down. And after that, chanting and hearing the glories of the Lord, whatever, like small things also will help us practically to improve devotional service, slowly at least.
yeah. Yes, Manoj. So I would also like to hear from other devotees. What do you think, devotees? So what is the problem? If you just practice devotional service in the heart. No, I don't do anything. So many people used to do, right, conventionally. So I just practice. I have devotion in my heart, and no, it is between me and the Lord, and then I just pray to the Lord. What is the limitation or what is the problem with that approach?
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. So
Hare
it's
Krishna.
just like we are keeping the bhakti within ourselves. We are not preaching. So it's the father will be more happy when we are like as a son we are preaching to others also.
Yes. Yes, Prabhuji. So basically that is very important, right? So we can actually please the Lord by following his instruction, right? So what is the Lord's instruction in Bhagavad Gita related to preaching?
It's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Yare Dekho Tare Kaho, Prabhuji. Is it that
Yeah,
one?
that is in Bhagavad Gita also Krishna says, no,
Yeah.
uh, he says that there is nobody who is more dear to me, right,
Yes,
than
yes.
who preaches Yeah, Nata Tasmad Manusheshu, Kashin Me Priyakritama, right? Krishna says that actually. So there is nobody who's moved here. So
And one
Prabhupada
more
actually,
thing is one example, I
yes.
don't know whether it will be applicable here. Something like keeping yourself and practicing in something you are putting your own wolf inside your pocket, which will inside you, which will eat you only.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. So
So
this is our
instead,
Vyasacharya Prabhu's example.
correct.
Yeah. Yes, that is like doubts he has told, the example of doubt.
doubts.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Yeah. See, unless until we share the bhakti with others, no? Devotional service actually, then I think we are kind of selfish. We are only concerned about our own progress, right? But the Lord actually likes somebody who actually takes risk for him, and to give it to the maximum number of people, right? That is naturally more better because the Lord is anxiously waiting for all the conditioned soul to come back to him, right? And then anybody who is trying to help, even a small attempt, right? Actually is very glorious. So this is one thing. So helping the Lord, is one of the things actually, or following the Lord's instruction. What are the other aspects when we do devotional service in practice? No, what are the other aspects which are happening?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes.
One question, Prabhuji. Like serving the Lord in our heart, it is okay. Means it is bad, or we can serve it and go for devotional service outside also, Prabhuji. If we can do simultaneously both.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yes,
okay.
bro. But when you are serving the Lord externally, automatically internal service also will happen. We don't have to separately endeavor it. So when we execute the Lord's plan, when you become part of the Lord's plan, right? When you do practical devotional service, naturally that love of God will come automatically by the mercy of the Lord and the acharyas. So that we don't have to separately endeavor.
Oh, yes, Prabhuji. One more point is, Prabhuji, like means in some older timeline, no, Prabhuji, like some brahmanas or something, they used to keep their knowledge in them by themselves. So that knowledge is Prabhuji, that is actually serving in their heart, or it is like devotional service, Prabhuji.
If they're not sharing, see, Brahmanas are supposed to be teachers actually, as per the occupational duty, Brahmana, Kshatriya, right? Vaishya and Shudra, right? So, what is actually Samo Damas Tapa Shaucham Shantir Arjavamevacha Dhanam Vijnanam Astikyam Brahma Karma Subhavajam. So these are the attributes of Brahmana. So basically, that actually one very important aspect is teaching others, pardon and pardon, learning and teaching. So Brahmana is supposed to share the knowledge actually. It's not that he learns and he keep to himself. He's supposed to share the knowledge, Prabhu. That is what is expected.
Yes, Alex.
Yes, Prabhu. So yeah. So see what other aspects, see when we do devotional service, right, practical devotional service, what are the other important aspects which is happening? Anybody else would like to add what changes we can expect, or anybody who was doing devotional service, they know what it practical devotional service when you execute, what is happening with us, with the devotee?
So
Proper
one
chanting, Prabhu. Chanting.
Yeah, but what is the change happening? See, when we are doing practical devotional service, say when you are going, for example, distributing books outside, or no, and when you are doing some service in the temple, you are cleaning the kitchen, or no, or you're doing some activity, right? So what happens to the devotee when you do practical devotional service?
Realization, Prabhuji.
Yes,
Humbleness.
yes.
One more thing important is there, Prabhuji. Just take an example of book distribution. So
Hmm.
generally, before in the starting before reading that big book distribution, we didn't used to read the books and used to like preach,
Hmm.
distribute the books. So somebody didn't used to like somebody asked the question, we were not able to answer. So one
Hmm.
thing is like in preaching, we need to follow those instruction, and then also like we are like what to say. Just like an example you take, some teacher is saying like smoking is injurious and I myself will be smoking, then it's difficult. So
Yeah.
this practical is like what I need to follow and then I need to give to the others.
Yes, Mother Prabhu, that's a very nice point. Yeah. So basically, the preaching means first you have to no, you have to follow it yourself, right? And then you have to preach. Yeah, that is acharya. The word acharya also means that Vanu Acharya is to Acharan. Acharan means to observe, right? So when you are preaching, you have to observe it yourself. Do it yourself. That is correct. That's a very nice point. So what is happening, as some of the devotees mentioned, right? So purification happens actually. That is very important. So when we do practical devotion service, it actually purifies the devotee, right? If you are not doing practical devotion service, it's very difficult to get purified, because any of these services, for example, no, when you are doing book distribution, it actually makes you humble, because you have to request people, right? There are different kind of people who are coming, who some people may neglect you, somebody may scold you, so you have to be ready to be very humble by in a book distribution service. So many of the services are like that when you're doing cleaning in the temple. So actually these kind of services are more purifying, right? Because actually, see, unless and until we become see, the problem is that every living entity is suffering in the material world because of disease, material disease, right? There are many limitations we have, right? There are, like, we say kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya, like there's so many problems, right? So if you don't subject yourself to purification, then actually it's very difficult. Unless until we become pure in the heart, it is very difficult to make progress in devotion service. So practical devotion service is the only way by which actually, we can expose or subject ourselves to purification process. If you are just sitting at home and then not exposing yourself to any of the conditions, then actually how will you get purified? You will think that okay, you are making progress, but it will be in a false kind of state. So when we interact with devotees, right? When we go out and interact with devotees, so there is a purification happening, because sometimes there will be misunderstanding between devotees, or some devotee may scold you. So if you try to retaliate and fight, actually then actually will not get purified. But actually if you learn to become humble and accept, think, understand that everything is the Lord's plan. So basically everybody has different problems, right? So Krishna knows how to solve this, how to rectify us. So he will put us in different conditions where actually we become purified. So we should not run away from difficulties. So when we are doing practical devotion service, there will be naturally difficulties, and different difficult testing situations will become. So we should understand that these are opportunities for us to become purified. If you try to avoid them, no, oh, this service is very difficult, no, because I know it's people are shouting at me, or no, oh, so I'll do some service that nobody shouts at me. Like then if you do like try to escape, then I think then it will take more time for us to become purified. So this is very important aspect actually. Practical devotional service means actually we have to do practically, with all our senses. So that is what is mentioned, right? So there are actually totally how many senses are there?
5 senses, Prabhuji.
Okay.
6 Prabhuji.
Okay.
12, 5 plus 7.
5 Prabhuji.
Okay. Then who told 12? Can you explain, Prabhu? What are the 12?
So 5 are the gross one, and the 7 I forgot actually, Prabhu. There are so
According to what I remember, I think there are 11 actually. So basically, yeah, senses means the five working senses, 5 knowledge acquiring senses, right? And then the mind. So this is what I remember. Maybe I don't know. One more is there. I'm not sure. So five knowledge acquiring senses is what actually Chitramadaji told, right? That everybody knows. No, like we have the 5 indriyas, right? The eyes, nose, ear, tongue, like that, touch. So these are the five knowledge acquiring senses, known as Jnanendriyas, right? And there are karmendriyas actually are like the hands, legs. Anybody remembers? I don't remember actually. I think the anus and genitals also come in that. So like that, there are 5 working senses: the 2 legs, the 2 hands, then the anus and genitals. So the 5 working senses, and then the 6, the topmost, actually the king of all the senses is the mind.
Mind.
Yeah, mind actually. So normally we also generally we say 6 senses. The 5 the senses which we know, and the plus the mind. So that there are different ways of defining it. So these are all the senses can be used in the practical devotional service of the Lord, right? So mind is considered the
Prabhuji.
leader. Yes.
Prabhuji, that is Navadwara, Prabhuji. That you told no, Prabhuji, that.
No, Navadwara is a different way of looking at it. So Navadwara is 9 holes, right? In that ear also comes, yeah. So
Ear, eyes, nose, everything comes.
yeah. So basically, some of them may be overlapping. So when you take Navadwara, maybe 9 of them may be overlapping. But so it's a different way. So senses means 5 knowledge acquiring senses, 5 working senses. Somebody can look up actually. I think this is what I
I
remembered.
think
5 and
Prabhuji,
11
there
are
are
there,
11
Prabhuji.
11 senses. Yeah.
Yeah. So the working senses are correct. What I told, I'm not sure. I didn't check actually. I just
Yes, sir. Yes, Prabhuji. Eyes, legs, hands, anus, and genitals are working senses.
Yeah.
And that knowledge acquiring is eyes, ear, nose, tongue, and skin. And the mind is the mind is one thing.
Yes,
So
the mind is actually the
yeah.
yes, Mataji, that's right. So yeah, so I think we'll not deviate actually. So we had already discussed about mind, but actually the mind is considered as the king of senses, or the leader of the senses, because it is told that all these senses are grouped about the mind. So mind actually, see, the senses are just helping the mind. Actually, the mind is the main thing, which actually works and understands and react to the different sensory perceptions, right? So mind is considered like the king or the leader of all the senses. So that is not the point of today's discussion. So the point is that all the senses can be used in service of the Lord. So actually, there is a part of Srimad Bhagavatam. No, the example of Ambarish Maharaj is given actually how he used different senses, right? So it is given like for example, eyes he used to see the Lord, form of the Lord, deity of the Lord, right? The nose he used to smell the flowers which are offered to the Lord. Then the ears he always used to hear about the Lord, right? And the tongue he used to always glorify the Lord, and then all eat prasadam, right? Like that actually. Then the legs he always used to walk to the temple of the Lord. The hands he used to actually clean the temple, like that, no? Like different senses are actually used. Also, every sense can be used in service of the Lord. And when we use the senses in service of the Lord, the senses become purified actually and controlled. Right? Otherwise, actually, it will become completely uncontrolled. So that is the difference between a Goswami and a Godas, right? A Godas is actually a person who is completely servant of his senses. Right? Generally, the people who are not having spiritual knowledge, right? They are all Godas. They are actually servant of the senses. And when somebody is spiritually enlightened or awakened, then actually they become the Goswami. No, they can gradually overcome the senses. So that is the point, right? Any devotees, any questions in these two paragraphs? Otherwise, we'll move on. So actually, this is more like a kind of a overview, right? Or actual topic we are to start. Okay.
Prabhuji, if you are attending Mangal Arti, all our senses are been engaged. All whatever 16 senses are there.
Okay. So five more senses you added now.
Like 11 plus 5 are there, na 16.
So,
So
what five? The remaining five are the objects of senses, I think, right? Or they are senses itself. So we discussed about 11 senses till now, na Prabhu? Five knowledge acquiring, five working, and the mind. The next five may be the, I think, the object of senses. Like for example, the eyes, there is sight. Like no, for the hands or the skin, there's touch, something like that, I think. So
yes, Prabhu.
that is actually, that is the 20. There are some, I don't know how many elements, 22 elements or something. So there are other things there, like mind, intelligence, ego. All those things will come, when you consider all those. Anyway, so yes, Prabhu, that is good point actually. Mangalarti, Prabhuji is saying that no, all the senses are engaged. So Prabhuji want more people to join Mangalarti. Okay, so he's trying to market. Yeah, it's very useful, Prabhu. Attending Mangalarti is extremely purifying. Okay, if you are able to go to the temple, that is the best thing. Otherwise, whatever is possible way, if you do, it is very, very nice. Mataji, devotion service is natural instinct. Would you like to explain a little more?
Yeah, Mataji has already explained it, Prabhuji, but
Yeah.
I'll just say it again because all of us by nature are spiritual. But because of the contamination in this material world, our soul is covered. It's completely, you cannot see actually, because like a mirror that's covered by dust. Because we are, so our spiritual nature is covered by Maya. So the only way we can get out is by devotional service. It is in us. So by helping it just a little push, we are able to do the devotional service, which is showed by 5 different ways by Rupa Goswami. These natural instincts which are there in us, we are spiritual by nature, and it can come out with the help of these devotional activities. Prabhuji.
Yeah. So why do we feel, no? Why many people feel that it is artificial? I have to force myself.
You need a little push, Prabhuji. They without knowledge, how will they know how to get control the senses and everything? Because knowing is different, but practicing is more important. So a little bit by practice, they will be able to get out of it. Now we are getting knowledge how to control our senses, how to control our mind. But just knowing you have to control and not how to control, it doesn't make sense, Prabhuji. See, like the
Okay.
child, they gave an example of the child. Now, he may try on his own to stand, fall. But little help from, giving him a walker or a helping hand, he walks easily and nicely. So a little help, maybe by other devotees or by any other, the Gurujis, the Prabhujis, anyone, a little help will make it easier. the path to Krishna consciousness will be very much easier, Prabhuji.
Yeah, so Raji Mataji had sent a message saying that practice of senses through Krishna consciousness. Originally we have, these qualities originally we have. Okay, so anybody else would like to add anything more? So do all of you feel that devotional service, you are having a natural taste for devotional service? Or anybody feel that they don't have a natural taste for devotional service?
Prabhuji, I want to understand means what exactly the meaning of devotional service, Prabhuji.
Okay, some of the devotees can help Chetan Prabhu. So Chetan Prabhu want to know what exactly is devotional service. Ashok Prabhu or Niveda Mataji, maybe they can try to help. Or Sumit Prabhu also, if anybody can answer Chetan Prabhu.
Devotional service, my understanding is, Prabhu, that service to the Lord in any way, without any intention or ego, envious.
Expectation of returns.
Yes. Is it okay, Chetan Prabhu? What more you would like to know? Like, what is any specific aspect of devotional service? Because as such, devotional service is something we always discuss. No, everybody knows about it. So
And one more thing is mainly is like for controlling the material senses. Then and making ourselves progressing in gnana towards gnana bhakti, means knowing about more about Lord, spiritual things.
So Gnana is actually kind of a initial stage, no? It is not like Bhakti is superior to Gnana. Right? Yeah.
So in devotional service, Prabhuji, we are only things whatever the activities we are doing, it's only aim is to please the Lord.
Yeah.
So apart from pleasing the Lord, we won't be doing anything.
That is like a direct engagement towards the Lord, engagement,
Yes. So
engagement of our devotional service towards the Lord.
yes, Mataji. So whatever all our activities are there, all will be dovetailing to Krishna. So
Yeah.
just take an example, like if you want to prepare prasadam, so for prasadam we'll be offering our, and if we are earning something, we'll be giving to Krishna, and then whatever like everything will be dovetailing that to Krishna, and then we'll be doing. So then it will be called devotional service.
To please Krishna, all
Yes,
our
ma'am.
activities it is towards pleasing Krishna, devotional service.
Yep.
Mainly focusing on not on the material aspect and onto our soul.
Okay. Rajimata just typed, we have forgotten that we are part and parcel of God, right? That learning is devotional service. Learning is practicing. Yeah. So this is Mataji's perspective. It is correct. So that devotional service can be different. No, all that we are discussing all the time, right? It's all devotional service only, right? Everything that we discuss when you're talking, Bhakti Viksha, right? It's all devotional service what we're discussing. So we can look at it from various angles, various perspective. So we can try to understand what Chetan Prabhu explicitly you have any specific aspect, because here also it is mentioned, right? Therefore, devotional service in practice means utilizing our different senses for the service of others. So what is your question, Chetan Prabhu? Can you clarify exactly which aspect is not clear to you? Krishna, Chetan Prabhu, are you there?
Unconditionally pleases to the Lord, we need to do the work for the Lord. So means I wanted to understand that like devotional service exactly means literally means what pleases to the Lord, probably. But we according to the acharyas and all, we know that what pleases to the Lord. But still we say that I'm doing devotional service. Means practically I want to understand that like example probably like book distribution, no, probably this is an devotional service also, but practically how exactly various forms of devotional service is there, and what is that?
See, I'm not very sure actually. See what I can tell. See, basically, Prabhu. So I can give a definition of bhakti. What actually Rupa Goswami says about devotional service. Okay, he says that Anyabilashida Shunyam, Nana Karmadi Anavrutam, Anukuliyana Krishnanushilanam Bhakti Ruttama. So this is the definition of bhakti given by Rupa Goswami, right? So what it means, Anya Bilashida Shunyam means devotees have already mentioned, there is no other desire actually. Anya Bilashida, there is no other desire actually. So when you are performing devotional service, you are completely doing it without any intentions, no? Or you don't have any other desires, or you are not expecting anything in return from the Lord. Anya Bilashida Shunyam. Okay. The next is Nana Karmadi Anavrutam. So the devotional service, which is there's something called Mishra Bhakti, which is not pure devotion. So here we are defining pure devotion service. What is pure devotion service? So Mishra Bhakti is actually Bhakti which actually is having tinge of other margas. No, for example, Jnana Yoga or Karma Yoga, etc. So if there's a tinge, for example, if somebody has a tinge of Jnana Bhakti, that means that yes, he is actually desirous of learning, or his desire is to become knowledgeable. Basically there's some personal interest that you want to become a pandit, or no, you want to become a scholar, for example. So then actually that devotional service is not pure devotional service. He's having some selfish interest. No, you want to become a pandita, or you want to claim that okay, I have learned all the scriptures, I want to become so. But then a pure devotional service doesn't, that devotee doesn't have any such aim or any such desire. So either jnana or karma or anything else, he doesn't even desire for liberation. A pure devotee, he doesn't even think that I want to become liberated from the cycle of birth and death. Then Anyavilashunyam Nana Karma Janavardam Anukulena Krishnanushilanam Bhaktiratama. So devotional service is executed in a favorable way. So devotional service can also be executed in an unfavorable way. No, why, like for example, how Kamsa actually was always conscious of Krishna. Okay, that's also Krishna consciousness, but in a negative way. Or Shishupala was always thinking of Krishna, right? So many demons always used to think about Krishna, but that is not a favorable devotional service. But actually, devotional service executed in a favorable way, right? So basically, a pure devotional service is the only desire of the sadhaka, of the devotee, is to please Krishna. That is the only desire. He doesn't have any other desire. So that is the definition of pure devotional service. So if you take any service, for example, no, so we know that devotees are in different stages, right? We discussed it many times. No, like for example, the basic classification is no what is called a neophyte devotee, who is also known as what is actually neophyte devotee is called Uttamadhikari, Madhyamadhikari, and Kanishtadhikari, right? Kanishtadhikari is a pure neophyte. Then there is a Madhyamadhikari and Uttamadhikari. Then similarly, we have the different stages of devotion service we discussed, no? Like Ado, Shraddha, Tada, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana, Kriya, Nartha, Nivritti, Nishta, Ruji, Asakti, Bhava, Prema, etc. So depending on the different where we stand, right, we can understand devotional service in different ways. And also the devotional service, the purity of devotional service also will vary based on the level of the devotee. So in general, so when somebody is doing book distribution, right, most of the time we may do book distribution because somebody is asking us to do book distribution, or no, or somebody is pushing us, or because somebody may do book distribution because you want to become recognized. No, like I am the best book distributor. No, I'll get an award, or no, people may say like that. So different devotees have different reasons. Some devotees may do the book distribution because they like it, because they are getting some pleasure out of it. So that also may not be completely pure devotional service, but all of them are devotional service. Even though devotional service is not completely pure, the practice itself can purify us. So the more we do the devotional service, even if it with a little tinge of other things or it's in pure way, that actually continuously doing that will purify us. Is that okay, Prabhu? Or still you have any specific aspect you want to clarify?
I got it.
Okay, good. Okay, then I think let's move on. Devotees. Okay, so I think we covered these points, right? Anybody has any other points in this part? Otherwise, we'll move on. Importance of Holy Dham. We'll move to that, which is the actual topic. Okay, so somebody, maybe whatever we can see in this page, right? Yeah, till here we can discuss actually from here to here. What are the different points? Okay, note down. Okay, one important thing I would like to say before we go ahead is that, see, many times when we read these things in the mind, we may think that, okay, is it really true? How is it possible? Or it's just somebody is just trying to exaggerate. Actually, so this is actually, we should not think like that. Okay, we should, that is considered as an offense, right? Like we have offenses against the holy name, right? To consider the glories of holy name to be imaginary, right, or exaggeration. That is one of the offenses of holy name. Similarly, in any aspect of devotional service, we should be very careful that if you are very serious in devotional service, that we should always think that at the moment I am not able to understand this. It is beyond my comprehension. No, but actually, everything is actually we should think that no, it's all true. Right? Though today I may not be able to understand it, but someday by mercy of the Lord or by pure devotees, I will understand it. Okay, so it may appear that some other things are you may feel first time when you read. Okay, how is it possible? Just by just by even few seconds, they are saying that okay, if you live in Olidam, no, you get so much of benefit. So only thing we should think that no, at the moment I'm not able to understand. It's beyond my comprehension. But we should never think that they are all exaggerations. No? That should not that's not the right attitude of a devotee. Yeah, with that actually we'll go ahead. So please let me know points and we'll discuss. Everybody is able to see. All are able to see the screen, right? Devotees.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay.
So the second line is they are telling it is one can pass over the desert of material existence by staying in this pilgrimage like Vrindavan, Mathura, Dwarka.
One more point is like whoever sees the deities of Vishnu and that holy places, he will get relief from entering the womb of mother again.
Yes, Rohit. Thanks. Okay, what are the points of the
One thing is visiting these holy places is a way to escape from this material condition.
yeah, so kind of it's similar to this point, no, Mataji?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, cycle of birth and death or material existence.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, what are the points we have? I would encourage all other devotees also can contribute. Sushil Prabhu, Chitram Mataji.
Prabhuji, nothing to explain, but there's one line there that going to these holy places and living there, seeing the deities, you get liberated. But that's not our final goal. Our final goal is after getting liberation to do devotional service and then reach a final destination.
Yes, Mataji. I think it's a very important point. It needs definitely we can explain it. Sure. What are the points? Yeah. Sushil Prabhu, you are not giving any points.
Prabhuji, it is also mentioned even if we are staying for one day in Holy Dham, we'll be getting the taste of loving the God.
1 second, Prabhu. One day stay.
Even one day stay, if somebody is attending in Holy Dham, so they will be getting that to worship the Supreme Lord, the taste. Means such that again he will be giving a chance to engage in devotional service.
Okay, Prabhu. Sure. I note it down. Okay, what are the points?
Yeah, Prabhuji, in last, in next para, it is mentioned that even by remembering these pilgrimage places, we can attend the we can yeah, just by remembering the Navadvipa, we get free from all offenses, and we can attend the.
We can be free from offenses. Okay.
Yeah.
Importance of Navadip Dham is there, Prabhuji. We'll get the love of Krishna.
Yeah. Okay, so 1 second. So have we reached there already, or so in this part, anything is there in these 2 paragraphs? Any other points?
So one more last line, Prabhuji. This attainment of transcendental loving devotional service of the Lord is a goal of life and which can be achieved who's one staying in Mathura even for a few seconds.
Madhura Mandala means Prabhu that any place which is related like linked to that mandala.
Lord Krishna. Okay.
Yes. Yes, bro.
Prabhu, one more point is there like different places of pilgrimage means to attain an emancipation of material bondage, like maybe liberation.
Yeah. I think more or less, I think it's covered already. No, I would say. In some other points, for example, here it is saying, no, we can cross over material existence by staying in Mathura, Dwaraka. So any other included, right? What is the point, Nivedha, that you mentioned? Is it covered already? One point you mentioned just now, no?
Yes, Prabhuji, like the devotional service, which is the goal of life, can be easily achieved by staying there in the Madhura Mandala, even for a few seconds.
Mhm. Okay, let's move on then. After that, move to the next two paragraphs. Yeah, now we're talking about Navadip. Yes, Sumit, bro, you mentioned some point now. So what is the point?
Yeah,
What
Prabhuji.
Navadip?
The
So
five.
Navadip
What
will
are?
be getting the love of Krishna.
Mhm.
By staying in Navadip, Prabhu? Sumit, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji, who resides in the land of Navadip is fortunate because he get that pure love for Krishna.
Okay, Sushil, Prabhu, your point? What is the point, Prabhu?
Yeah, the five types of liberations one attains by uh, staying in Navadipa.
Okay.
And the
Prabhu, one more thing.
importance. Yeah, right.
Yeah, Madhura can deliver all the desires and ambitions of fruitive workers and the salvationists also.
Mathura.
So it's, yeah, Madhura. So it's like maybe both benefits are there, Prabhu.
Mm-hmm. Okay, what is the point exactly? Can you tell?
Madhura can deliver all desires and ambitions of the fruitive workers and
Okay.
of the salvationists.
Okay.
Prabhuji, one point is there 10 years of devotional service in other dhams and 3 night is equal to 3 nights in Navadip. 3 nights equal to 10 years of devotional service in other dham.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. So last paragraph. At this point, Sumit Prabhu mentioned one point. Okay. The second 2 points mentioned, right? Sushil Prabhu also mentioned is five liberation. What are the
Prabhu, you are
points?
saying something else also.
No, bro. I'm just waiting for the points.
Sushil Prabhu was saying in between I interrupted.
Okay. Okay. Sushil Prabhu. Sushil Prabhu,
Yeah,
you were saying, yeah.
yeah, Prabhuji. There is one more about the Navadvipa Dham. Uh, what is that? Just 1 minute. Uh, two fields of knowledge.
Taraga and Paraga.
Yeah, Taraka and Paraka.
I'll just note down. You can explain later at the time.
Mhm.
We'll elaborate it at the time.
And how to obtain seven holy places after 100 years.
Is equal to single night.
Yes, that is equal to residing single night in Sri Navadvipa Dham.
Yeah. So this is similar to this point with Sumit Prabhu was made. What is it actually? 100 years is in another term equal to one night at Deep. Right? Yeah. Okay, any other points? Chitra Mataji, would you like to add any point is missed?
No, Prabhuji, all covered up.
Okay. Anybody has any points? We can just start discussion. If you get any point, you can also add it later. Okay, so let's come back now. Yeah, maybe we can start from the bottom. Sushil Prabhu. Sushil Prabhu, you made the point. Even by remembering places of pilgrimage, Navadvip, we can be free from offenses. Can you? Would you like to explain it, or anybody has any questions about it? And Sushil Prabhu, we can just briefly explain that point. Where is it mentioned here? In the last page. Huh? Where is it, Prabhu? Where is it coming?
It is in page number 64. The last para. Whoever goes at any time to visit Navadvipa becomes freed from all offenses, and whatever pilgrim obtain by wandering to all the places is obtained simply by remembering the Sri Navadvipa.
So is it clear? What does it mean? Everybody's clear about it. Any questions? Because then I think we don't have to go anywhere, right? We can just remember sitting house in a place, and then we can get all the benefits. What do devotees think about it?
Yes, Prabhu. Remembering also, it will not be very easy. Like whatever we regularly thinks about that, we'll remember.
Yeah, but one thing, Prabhuji, remembrance only happens if we have experienced it earlier. So
then we can go once, and then after all the time, we can remember.
Yeah.
Prabhuji,
this point, Prabhu, then we can remember.
Prabhuji, remembrance will help like if we are visiting always. Like it's just like we are eating the food, Prabhuji. So once we are hungry, again we will eat. So it's just like that devotional service. Also, we need to keep refueling that fuel.
Yeah, that is true. So basically, it is saying that even remembering, we get actually so much of benefit. So basically, that emphasize the glories of the Holy Dham, right? Even if you are able to remember, you get so much benefit actually. So then what about if you go, right? If you really go there, you can get much more benefited, right? So yeah, as you told, right? Some devotees told, if you want to see, if some devotees who are very elevated, they can meditate actually, and then when they meditate, no, they actually can get the real benefit. But understandably, we are so pure, we will not be able to meditate in that particular mood, or in such intense meditation is not possible. We can see that there are many pastimes in the scriptures, right, where actually by meditation, the devotees are able to see the Lord. They're able to participate in the pastimes, just by meditating. And then there is also the story of this one Brahmana, which is mentioned, is from a place called Pratishtanpur, who he used to always he was a very poor Brahmana, and because he did not have any money, he always used to do worship mentally. Okay, so mentally, he will sit and meditate, and he will imagine that he is bringing water from the Ganges, like in golden pots. He will bring so many golden pots of water to bathe the deity. Then after that, he will actually nicely worship the deity, perform the arati with all the paraphernalia. then actually he will offer boga, very opulent things, actually everything in the gold plates, silver plates. He used to just meditate on the different things like that. Every day he used to meditate because he cannot really afford to do that. And once what happens, actually he'll be offering some kheer, some special kind of a kheer, and he was waiting the kheer to become cold, actually, because the kheer actually sometimes it is tastes better, actually, if it becomes cold than it is hot. So he will wait, and then after some time, he wanted to check whether it is cold enough. So in the meditation, he will put his finger, in the kheer, and immediately, he feel extreme heat, and his finger will get burnt. So meditation is broken, and when he opens his eyes, he sees that his finger is actually broken. So such intense meditation, if you really have such intense devotion, if you have, then actually we can really experience the real realm, whether it is a dham, or whether it is a holy place of the Lord, or or a spiritual place, or the all Krishna's abode, actually anything, right? We can actually possible, but that is for very, very elevated devotees. But actually doing mentally also, it is possible to attain, uh, if you have very pure devotion, and such intense devotion if you have, then actually it is by mentally also we can attain the similar benefits of really visiting the holy dham. That is possible, actually, but it is not for normal people. For us, actually, Sumit Prabhu, as Sumit Prabhu mentioned, right, we have to actually go and visit the holy dham as many times as possible. Is it clear, devotees? Any questions? Okay, I think it's clear. So let's move on. 5 types of liberation can be attained by staying in the Navadvip. Sushil Prabhu, what are the 5 types of liberation?
Yeah, so there are 5 types of liberations that we can attain by staying in Navadvipa, or practicing this devotional service in Navadvipa, which are as achieving the same planet as that of God, then getting form similar to that of God, obtaining the opulence that is similar to the Lord, and getting direct association with the Lord, and merging into the Brahman effulgence.
Yeah, effulgence, yes. So these are the 5 types of liberation. No, they are called Salogya, Sarupya, Samipya. Then what is it? Sashti.
Saija.
Shari-
Shashti.
Yes. Salogya,
Sai-
Samipya, Sarupya, Sashti, and
Auja.
one more is it? Sayuja.
Sai-
Saija.
Five.
So these are different 5 kinds of liberation. So can be obtained by staying in Navadvip. Yeah. And next point, Prabhu, Taraga and Paraga.
Yeah, I didn't understand this much. I understand the words, but the meaning behind this.
So some of the devotee can help Prabhuji here.
Here it is saying Taraka means crossing over the ocean of material existence. Means from this material world into spiritual world, crossing there to there. And Paraka means obtaining the other side of ocean, means maybe Prabhu, Paraka means spiritual world, other side of the ocean.
Yeah. So basically, one is the process of crossing, and other is attaining the result, right? The 2 fields of knowledge called Taraga. Taraga. So this is similar to, we have this. Anybody remembers? But there are 3 things in Bhakti, right? 3 important things which are actually mentioned in many places. This is actually similar to this. Two of them are similar to the 2 out of 3 of that other thing. Anybody knows? The Gyan. There are 3 Gyans.
More hints, Prabhuji.
No, 2 Gyans and one thing. So this is basically, one is the crossing over, how to the process of crossing over, and the other one is
Practicing.
attaining the result, right? So there are this mentioned 3 times, 3 things, 3 important things, like they are actually Sambandha, Abhidaya, and Prayojana, right? Everybody know what is Sambandha, Abhidaya, and Prayojana?
Sambandha means making that what we say relation with
Relation.
that Lord.
Abhidaya.
No idea, Prabhu.
You're done Bhakti Shastri, no, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu, forgotten.
That is why you're actually. Yeah. Anybody wants to try Abhidaya? Here it is there, actually. The first thing, Taraga is Abhidaya only. Basically the process of crossing over or attaining, right, is called Abhidaya. And Prayojana is what ultimate, the last one, right? Paraga, the result. So Sambandha, Abhidaya and Prayojana. Sambandha is to understand the relationship between the living entity and the Supreme Lord, right? The Jivatma and Paramatma, right? Understanding the relationship between the Jivatma and Paramatma. That is called the Sambandha Gyan, the relationship between the living entity and the soul, right? This is the first one of the things, one of the aspect. Then Abhidaya is how to attain, how to rebuild that relationship which is lost. Abhidaya is a process of devotion service. Abhidaya, and Prayojana is what the ultimate result actually that we are going to attain, which is actually Krishna Prem in our path, right? So Sambandha, Abhidaya, and Prayojana. So this Abhidaya is the process, crossing over, how to Taraga, how to cross over the material existence, and Paraga is actually Prayojana, what is the result of crossing over the material existence, right? So this is little technical actually, but then ultimately the idea is that by residing in Navadvipa, we can attain all perfections actually. That a devotee would like to achieve. What is the highest perfection of devotion service, right? That can be attained by staying in the Dham. Okay, 100 years in other Dham is equal to 1 night in Navadvipa. So I think that is self-explanatory, right? So these are all different ways actually by which Navadvip Dham is glorified. So many glories are mentioned actually. Okay, Sumit Prabhu, 1 day stay, you get taste of worship Krishna. By staying in Navadvipa can get pure love of Krishna. 3 nights in Navadvipa is equal to 10 years in other Dham. So we can explain all of them together.
Yes, Prabhuji. So why it is mentioned 1 day will get the taste of worshipping Krishna is there because Navadvipa is a holy dham of the Lord. Lord has appeared there itself. So one the benefit is there, and usually all the pure Vaishnavas lives there. So by getting the association, we'll get the taste there.
Okay.
And second point, what was there, Prabhuji?
By staying in Navadvip, one can get pure love of Krishna.
Yeah, because of the association of the devotees also.
Mm-hmm.
And 3 nights is like there was the point mention of 3 nights in Navadvip, like yogis who do yogas for 10 years in other dhams, if they come to Navadvip and do stay for 3 nights only, they will be getting that same results.
Yeah. So it's clear. Is it clear to devotees? Any questions that anybody has having in regarding these points? Chitra Mataji, is it clear, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, good. We can move on then. Yeah, if anybody, yeah.
Why Prabhuji, like?
For Gaurang Bhavan Prabhu's program, yeah. Like, yes, bro, what is the question? I didn't understand. Why what?
Why
Or
Prabhuji
why not?
that? No, Prabhuji, like. Means staying means 10 years we can achieve in 3 days in Navadvip, Prabhuji, like 10 days. Why, like Prabhuji?
So Sumit Prabhu, can you answer?
Prabhuji, I am not able to hear. Prabhuji is calling. I'll disconnect. Yes,
You can.
Prabhuji, I have disconnected.
Yeah. So Chetan Prabhu is asking why it is like this. That 10 years in other, yoga process in other dham is equal to 3 nights in Navadvip. Why? He's asking.
Yes, Prabhuji. So for the reason behind is there wherever the Lord has in that Navadvip Dham, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has already taken birth there. So that's the importance of there. And when Lord has already taken the place, so the importance will be there. Personally present, he was there. Just.
But God is everywhere, no, Prabhuji. So.
She did several pastimes over the places, Prabhu, like Vrindavana, Madhura, and Dwarka. So that's what my understanding.
Sumit Prabhu, you are still there, no?
Yes, Prabhuji. Prabhuji was calling.
Okay. Yeah, maybe if you want, you can leave Prabhu. It's okay, no problem. But Chetan Prabhu's question is not yet answered. I think he's still
Yes,
not
Prabhuji.
happy.
So yeah.
Yeah, Prabhuji, I would think that in Mathura and in other holy dhams, Lord has already appeared, but that was in previous yugas, and in recent Kali Yuga, in recent time, Navadvip Dham is the only place where Lord has appeared, and due to the constantly chanting there, the I mean, due to more chanting there, this is purified. This place is purified, and it helps us to purify in a very quick time than those other places.
Yeah. Apart from this, Prabhuji, all our previous acharyas have also been living there and they were chanting. So due to this chanting of the holy name, this place have become purified. So that's where we'll get the benefit. And the second thing is, Prabhuji, as Prabhuji has already mentioned, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu have joined this, like taken birth here. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu have taken birth. So because of that, and he have taken birth because both. Prabhuji, I'll join there. Prabhuji is calling.
No, he's calling everybody, not only you.
Okay.
You can see here, no, my screen it is
Yeah.
coming actually. So I think we have to find out who is doing this continuously calling. Somebody is not joining, then they should not call again and again continuously, no.
This
Prabhuji,
is Gaurav Srivastava.
No,
he's
that is Prabhu. I think somebody else may be doing on his behalf probably.
Again.
Yeah, I can just send it actually, not a problem. Yeah. So yes, bro. So Chetan Prabhu. See, what Sushil Prabhu has told, if you are comparing Mathura and Navadip, right? Then actually, that in Kali Yuga, Navadip Dham actually, is more glorified or more powerful, like that it is mentioned. So actually, it is mentioned that comparing Navadip and Mathura, no, that is also an offense. If you say that Navadip is more glorified or more powerful than Mathura, or if you say that Mathura is more powerful than Navadip, actually that is also an offense. So being a devotee is very difficult. Actually, it's not easy, right? So we have to be very careful. So all of these dhams are very very potent and powerful. Okay. So Chetan Prabhu's question is that
Equally important, Prabhuji.
yeah, they're all equally powerful. But in Kali Yuga, it is mentioned that Navadip is more powerful because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has appeared in Kali Yuga, right? In this age of Kali, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a Yuga avatar for Kali Yuga, right? And then his aim is to deliver all the conditioned souls who are very sinful. So because he has selected Navadip for his appearance, Navadip is very more powerful and potent. I can't say no more powerful and potent. It's equally potent and powerful. We can say. But no, Vrindavan also is very equally powerful and potent. But the only difference is that in Navadvip, the offenses are not taken very seriously. So basically, there's something called Dam Aparad. If you go to a holy place and if you commit some offense, then generally the offense is multiplied many thousand times. And if you do a pious activity in a Dam, then the pious credit also is multiple thousand times. So, but actually, it's very risky to commit offenses in the holy Dam. So compared to in Navadvip, if somebody commits an offense, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu being very very merciful, the offenses are not taken very so seriously. But in Vrindavan, if you go and commit an offense or Mathura you commit offense, then actually that there will be a lot of reactions for that. So we have to be very very pure and very careful when you are living in Mathura. So that way, Navadip is more merciful compared to we can say because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is more merciful. And both Mathura, Navadip, all these holy dhams are eternally existing in the spiritual world. They are just reflection. No, it is they are because they are in spiritual world. They are also in material world, like that. Okay, so
And
yeah.
Prabhuji, whatever Chetan Prabhu is mentioning, even though God is everywhere, still we feel that power and that environment in temples and the places like Navadip and Mathura, wherever Lord Himself came and performed His activities. So it will be much more powerful, and and the devotional, the environment where all the devotees there, they will be always engaged in that mood only. So basically, even other general people, even though if they are not aware of such things, also when they get association of such devotees, in that they will also that power and that mood of loving attitude will automatically will come. Yeah, but like when we sit at home, that and to visiting a temple, how does that make matters? Same thing, it is similar way to.
Yes.
Or else we have to make our home only that holy place.
Yeah.
Being with all the pure devotees and regularly praying and worshipping Lord, offering everything.
Yes, Mataji, very nice point. Yes, so this question, Prabhupada, some people used to ask Prabhupada also, some kind of Mayavadis, they used to ask Prabhupada that okay, God is everywhere, no? Then why you want to have temple? No, why you waste so much money? You spend so much money, opening temples you're building. God is everywhere. like this people. So what Prabhupada used to say is that, no, if God is everywhere, then he is in the temple also. No, then what is the problem actually? He's asking, he used to ask like that. And especially as you mentioned, right, the difference is that the Lord is everywhere, but actually, no, it is mentioned that, no, he is everywhere, but in an unmanifested form. No, like what is that shloka? I don't remember actually. Avyaktani, something is there actually, basically. So he's saying that I'm present everywhere, actually in my unmanifested form. Okay, but in the temple, the Lord is manifested as the Archa Vigraha. He's directly appearing as a deity. He's not different from Krishna in the form of deity. And the holy Dham actually is also his manifestation. It's also the energy of the Lord. And because the Lord is very, very merciful. He has given us so many different options to become purified. So the holy Dham is one of the ways actually, by the Lord has invested his spiritual potency in the holy Dham, so that actually whoever goes in the holy Dham, they can be benefited, though they are completely, unknowingly. It's like a agyata sukriti. Even if you don't know any benefit of holy name, or unknowingly if you go and visit the holy Dham, you take a dip in the holy river of Ganga, Yamuna, or in Lord's sacred places like, Radha Kund, Sham Kund. If he's a great sinner also, all his sinful reactions are burned away. So that way the holy Dham actually is not different from Krishna. It is mentioned, for example, Govardhan. Govardhan is mentioned, considered as the body of Krishna directly. There's no difference between the Krishna's body and Govardhana. It is mentioned like that. So this way, the Dham actually is a special place of the Lord, where actually the Lord has invested his spiritual potency. So when a sinner or a person who is actually, who is completely unaware of all this benefit, even unknowingly, if he enters that place, that person is benefited. So that way we have to understand that, even though the Lord may be present everywhere, the Lord is directly telling, Lord, we can hear from Krishna himself the benefit of the Mathura Dham. Right? Krishna himself glorifies Vrindavan, right? And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu glorifies Navadip. So we should follow the instructions of Krishna, right? Or Supreme Lord, when he is glorifying it. So that way we have to follow the Mahajanas, the Acharyas. They are saying that, okay, these are the benefits of visiting the Holy Dham. And actually, we should take it from them, and then and reap the benefit of it. Is it okay, Chetan Prabhu? If you have any other specific questions, are there?
No, Hare Krishna.
Okay, Prabhu. Somebody wants to say something, Ashok Prabhu? You want to say something?
No, Prabhu. That's only like Nivedita Matri mentioning, no, the same point. So everywhere means because we are visiting, then our mood will change, and we may progress into devotional service more than our current state.
Yes.
Association is more important, Prabhuji, what I felt.
Yeah, that's true, Prabhu. See, basically, there is also mention, this holy Dham, it is mentioned like this, that let's say if you take Ganga, Ganga is a holy river, right? It is mentioned that somebody who sinner who goes and take bath in Ganga, actually all his sinful reactions are washed away. So it is mentioned that holy Dham, all the sins are accumulated there actually. So one way, if you go to, it's actually risky to go to holy Dham, because all the sins are, there is a lot of concentration of all the sinful reaction, because all the people are going, sinners are going and leaving their sins there and become purified and coming out. So it is mentioned that when they visit the Dham, all the sins which are accumulated is completely cleansed. So the pure devotee is capable of even, he's so powerful actually. He's a Mahabhagavata, pure Vaishnava, right? And it is told that a pure devotee, he is carrying the holiness. So wherever a pure devotee is going, that place also becomes like a Dham. This is actually many places it is mentioned in scriptures. Especially one of the example is example of Vidura. Vidura actually is actually being glorified like that. So wherever a pure devotee is going, because he carries the holy Dham, whoever is carrying Krishna in the heart, right? That actually place becomes a holy Dham. So a pure devotees or Mahabhagavatas, they are actually carrying the Supreme Lord in their heart. Right, so wherever the pure devotee goes, that place becomes a Dham. So it is actually the pure devotee or the associate of Vaishnava which is more important actually, because you see, if you go to a Dham, if you are a completely pure devotee, then maybe you may be able to associate with the Lord, Supreme Lord. But generally, most of us are not like that. Most of the devotees are not in that stage. So what actually we can benefit in a holy Dham is association of devotees, right? By associating with devotees, actually we become purified by going to holy Dham. Or otherwise, if a pure devotee comes to Bangalore, or any other place, wherever we stay, actually we should take their association, and that is as purifying as going to a holy Dham. That is the opinion of Acharyas. Okay, let's move on. Okay, Ashok Prabhu, whoever sees the deity of Vishnu is freed from the cycle of birth and death. Mathura can deliver all desires, all ambitions of fruity workers and salvationists.
Prabhu, like
Prabhu,
by visiting
just a
those
moment, give me
holy
one moment.
places.
I have to just Just 1 second, Prabhu. I'll just get my charger. 1 second. Yeah, Prabhu. Please carry on.
Yeah, yes, Prabhu. Like means visiting the Vishnu deity means like in Haribhakti Siddhodaya also mentioning. Generally, birth and death is coming means we are entering into mother's womb. It's like a very difficult place. Every time we are taking this birth. So if we are visiting that temple of Vishnu or by visiting that holy places, then it can be stopped, as it is saying, Prabhu.
Mm-hmm.
Prabhu, can we say that visiting the Vishnu's temple means any holy dhams or any place? Generally, as one thing.
Yeah, both are beneficial, Prabhu. So I think in this context, we should maybe it is where exactly it is. It is mentioning a temple of Vishnu
First paragraph,
in
Prabhu.
statement about the holy places, Mathura, Dwaraka. Are different places of pilgrimage mean to attain emancipation of material bondage. This one, the emancipation
Slightly
over is
up,
not.
slightly higher, Prabhuji.
First paragraph only, Prabhu, and the importance of holy dham.
Prabhuji, scroll down.
Scroll down.
There only, Prabhuji.
I must follow in my laptop, I think.
Prabhu, here the 2 points are there. One is about the holy dham and one is about worshipping the deities.
Scroll up, Prabhuji.
Prabhu,
Here it is.
holy dham in that first paragraph.
Yeah, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Nectar of Devotion, chapter 9, page 76. Little about that.
In the middle, the fifth line. Yes, Prabhu, there only fifth line. It is stated that Haribhakti Siddhodaya, persons who are impelled by pure devotional service in Krishna consciousness. Okay, here again, with pure devotional service, like Krishna consciousness, and go to the deities of Vishnu, surely get relief.
Yeah, so I think this is I mean, see, even if it is not a dham, also if you visit the Vishnu temple or the deity of Vishnu, actually are getting the benefit. But if you visit the Vishnu deity in a holy dham, I think then the benefit is much more actually, like that. You can say. So I think in this context, it is just visiting a Vishnu temple. I think is what is mentioned. So somebody is visiting that actually people don't understand the importance. No? So that is called Agyata Sukriti.
First line it is saying about the holy places.
Yes.
Second line, the third line which you have read already, that is about deities of Vishnu. First line is about the holy places.
Yes.
Yes. So generally, we are trying to get the leverage from this birth and death. So, like residing or visiting these temples, so it will help us, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, practical example is there, like when we are visiting through this temples, so we all our anxiety we are keeping outside. We feel peace. So that's the reason behind it is saying like all over this material existence will be crossing it over.
Yeah. So basically, see, the thing is that it is mentioned like this. See, we have many examples, right? So the Lord actually is always watching us. He is there in Paramatma, right, in the heart, and He is just waiting for some opportunity to deliver the conditioned soul, right? Even if you do something unknowingly, you know, the Lord never forgets that person. Okay, even if you may be a sinner or a person who is actually extremely addicted to sinful activities, but knowingly or unknowingly, if he does an activity which is spiritually, like for example, no, we have the story. For example, no, there are many stories in the Puranas which actually talks about this. So that story of yes, Mataji, Prabhu.
Draupadi example, Prabhuji. Of one like when Krishna was killing Shishupala, his hand was cut. So Draupadi tied with this one like clothes, and he was saved. He was saved from that.
Yeah. Yes, Prabhu. So in the Draupadi, we can think no, she's already a devotee before only. So so we have examples. For example, a lot of many sinners, people who are extremely sinful, who actually, for example, they sleep in the temple of the Lord, no, unknowingly because there is no other shelter. They are actually criminals, for example. There's a story like that actually, no, and then by mistake, no, they sleep in temple of Vishnu, and they get killed because of lightning, for example. Right? Then actually they become liberated, I know, and then they go back to spiritual abode. The story of the rat mentioned in Padma Purana, like associated with Damodar
Damodar.
past time. So the rat did not do anything, but by mistakenly, he bites a givik, and he starts jumping because of the heat, no? And then Lord considered that it is performing arati. So the point is that apparently it may look, we may think that no, it is maybe too simple or too silly, it may be, but actually the point is that the Lord is always waiting for for the conditioned soul to come back to him. So he's just waiting, whether knowingly or unknowingly somebody is performing a spiritual activity. So he want to give the credit actually to that, to that devotee. So that is how we have to understand all these things actually, right? From that perspective, we have to think. So yeah, so that is how these things are working actually. So Lord is just waiting for us. Even if somebody is doing, a person may not be qualified, or no, he may be a sinner, but actually he does some activity, in a holy dham. Then actually the Lord actually, good activity, like a small thing he may be doing, but the Lord actually he'll always remember that devotee, and then he gives that devotee more and more opportunity. So we will think that how just by visiting once a temple of Lord Vishnu, how he can become so much benefited. But actually the Lord, what actually in practically what happens is that Lord gives that devotee more and more chances. He will remember the devotee, and he give more and more chances, so that he gradually becomes purified, and he will become delivered from the cycle of birth and death. That's how we have to understand it.
Very true, Prabhuji. I just wanted to add one point here. For me also it was the same thing. I just wanted to visit one temple once, and now we are here with the association of devotees. We are progressing.
Yes, bro. That's so it may start with a very small activity. Okay, good point.
Yes, Prabhu. And one more point in my list, like Madhura can deliver all the desires of ambitions of fruity workers and salvations. Like generally, fruity workers means like material people, even though unknowingly if they're doing, they're visiting to Madhura and all, so their current desires also fulfill, and also loving attitude also will increase when we are
Yes.
visiting. And one more point, Prabhu, like land of Madhura, Madhura is glorious than the Vaikuntha Dhama. It's mentioned here, Prabhu.
Yes, yes. Yes, bro. So
Through Vaikuntha Dhama, actually, Vaikuntha Dhama means it's a Vishnu's place. Means it's not even Krishna's place, right, Prabhu? So Vaikuntha Dhama means just no desires, no miseries. But again, it's like a kind of this place only, right, Prabhu?
what place, bro? Again, it is a
Vaikuntha Dhama means only no desires or no miseries. But
No,
again,
no.
we may
No,
come back
it's
to
a spiritual, Prabhuji. No. Vaikuntha Dhamma is almost equal to Goloka only. And we don't come down. Once we reach, it's a spiritual world. Once we reach Vaikuntha, we don't come down. We don't have again birth and death. We stay in, Vaikuntha. There's no miseries, nothing. No life and death, as good as Goloka. No, Prabhuji?
yeah. So is it as good as Goloka from the perspective of not coming back actually? So
Yes.
once you go to so Vaikuntha is part of the spiritual world, but in the spiritual world also, we have seen that there are different gradations, right? So in Vaikuntha, like Lord Narayan, Narayana, Lakshmi Narayana, they are the presiding deities, or different forms of Vishnu. So based on the mood of the devotee, right? I need it actually. Charge is not there. So yeah, so basically, Goloka Vrindavan actually is considered the topmost in the spiritual world, because that is called Madhurya Dham, and Vaikuntha is called Aishwarya Dham. So in Vaikuntha, the devotees actually worship the Lord, in a Aishwarya, awe and reverence, right? So basically, they will not have a relationship where they can play with the Lord, or they can put their arm around the Lord. So it is a very formed relationship. They worship with great respect. Actually, the acharyas in our sampradaya, they told, actually we know that Vishnu or Narayan actually is an expansion of Krishna, right? Krishna is the source of everything. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. But actually, generally, Prabhupada many times says, no, Krishna and Vishnu, like it's almost the same. Like when it's like just like a police officer, he is at home, it is Krishna. The child can play, the wife can scold and all those things, right? It's very informal. And then, but actually when this police officer is in the field, right? is in duty, then the child cannot approach him, right? Now everybody is actually respecting him, keeping distance. So same way, these are the different expansions of Krishna. So all the spiritual planets are eternal, and no, there is no anxiety in Vaikunta. Vaikunta means, as Prabhuji mentioned, right? There is no kunda, no anxiety. All spiritual worlds are without anxiety, but there are gradations actually. The topmost of all spiritual Vaikunta planets is called Goloka Vrindavan, where actually the Lord is in his original form is very casual, and the devotees the topmost of all different rasas, like Shanda, Shanda rasa, Vatsalya rasa, Sakya rasa, Madhurya, like that, Dasya, Shanda, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. So these are the 5 gradations. The basic is Shanda rasa, then comes actually the Dasya, then comes the Sakya friendship, then comes the paternal relationship, and then finally we have the Madhurya, which actually is the conjugal relationship between gopis and Krishna. So there are gradations actually, but nevertheless, all Vaikuntha planets, they are all eternal, and anybody who attains that any of the Vaikuntha planets, they actually never come back to this material world.
Prabhuji, in between Ayodhya Dham is also there, between Vaikuntha and Goloka.
Yes, Ayodhya is there, Navadvip is there, Mathura is there.
Okay.
Like that, there are different parts actually, in the spiritual world, and there are innumerable. So spiritual planets, spiritual world is 4 times the material world. The material world is unlimited. No, there are millions of universes in the material world. It is only 1/4 of the total creation, and the 3/4 of the creation is spiritual world. So you can imagine how unlimited is spiritual world, and then how many spiritual planets nobody can count actually. So we have only some very limited information about the spiritual world. Even the material world also we have limited information, but spiritual world we'll have still very less information. We don't know much details. We have only some glimpses here and there, how the spiritual world is, little bit here and there, but I have very limited information. So in the spiritual world, it is considered as Mathura. In the spiritual world is more superior to Vaikuntha. So we can understand this in 2 ways actually. When they say that Mathura is actually more like what is exactly mentioned like about it,
More glorious.
more glorious. So that is one of the ways. And every spiritual, all spiritual dhams are also reflected in the material world also. They are the Mathura. It is mentioned that Mathura in the material world, is not different from the Mathura in the spiritual world. It is mentioned. So like that, we can understand.
The Leelas are only in Gokul Dham, no, Prabhuji?
Goloka Vrindavan.
Yes.
Yeah, this kind of leelas,
And-
which actually, yeah.
Yeah, that is
Yes.
not there in Vaikuntha.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this kind of pastime. So the sweet pastime. There may be pastimes in Vaikuntha, but this sweet pastimes of Krishna, right? Which actually we understand. We read it in Bhagavatam. Those kind of pastimes, the childhood pastimes. So and then the pastimes with the gopis. These are all only present in Goloka Vrindavan. So basically, when we talk about the different qualities of the different gradations, right? Like Vishnu has this many qualities, and Krishna has 4 extra qualities, which actually, one of them is actually performing these wonderful pastimes.
Yes.
Like Veena, Venu Madhuri, Leela Madhuri. So Leela Madhuri is performing these sweet pastimes, which are actually only found in Goloka. This is one of the additional qualities of Krishna. Then the Venu Madhuri, playing the flute actually. Then there are 2 more actually, which I don't remember now. So like that, these 4 extra qualities of Krishna, which are not present even in Vishnu. Yes.
And Krishna, like Vishnu, is very not so. Friendly kind. I am not getting the word, Prabhuji.
Yeah, he's more formal.
Yeah, formal. Yeah.
Yes. It's formal. There actually we can only do mostly, it's only this, which actually the devotees of Vaikuntha, they are in that mode of serving, only serving, doing service. But not actually this form of paternal or friends or Lord lover. This is not possible actually. Vishnu doesn't have that mood actually. The mood is different there. But actually, it is not that in Vaikuntha people are very sad or unhappy. So based on the different desire of devotee, they attain that particular planet. So their desire is to serve the Lord in that way. So they are very completely happy in that particular position. That is how it is. This is kind of an off topic, but so I think any more points? I think we are complete. Anybody's point is missed out? Devotees? Liberation is not final goal, Chitramada, you mentioned. Devotional service is beyond.
Yes, Prabhuji. Liberation means liberation from contamination of material world, contamination and away from material world. That is liberation. And then we are situated in pure consciousness. But that is not the ultimate goal. Because with this, in addition to liberation, there should be devotional service to God to reach the lotus feet of the Lord. Otherwise, your journey is not complete, your goal is not complete. Your goal is to reach the lotus feet of the Lord. So, after liberation, you have to do devotional service and go to Krishna. But here it is said that living in Mathura, even for a few seconds, is enough to take you from the liberation soul stage right up to the Lord. That is the that is the strength of staying in Mathura even for a few seconds.
Yes. Yes, Nandji. Is it clear, devotees?
That means, Prabhu, I understood. Maybe I'm making out one point from here, Prabhu. Like Vaikunta means maybe a pure devotional service will be there, Prabhu, or
Prabhuji,
Hare
pure
Krishna.
devotional service will be there, but only the four qualities of Krishna, no, the Leelas and in the other three, flute, they are not there. Otherwise, they are on the same plane. So that puts Krishna on a higher plane because he has four additional qualities than Vishnu.
Yeah. Yes. Prabhu, going to Vaikunta also means it's not again punyas. It's also again nullification should be there, Prabhu.
Vaikunta is not Swarga, Prabhu. Going to Swarga is
Yeah.
material. Is a punya. Punya by punya you can go to Swarga Loka. Right? It's part of the material world. But going to transcendental abode, you cannot go by fruitive activities. You can't go. No, that is actually only possible. Yeah. So basically, the liberation is the first step, and then beyond liberation, attaining the spiritual world is beyond liberation. Liberation, as Mataji told, right, is only just the first step. Actually, getting free from the cycle of birth and death. But pure devotees doesn't they are not aspiring for liberation because it is mentioned, right, many places it is mentioned here also in this one of the passages it is mentioned. They are not the Vilamangala Thakur was saying, no, like the pure liberation is waiting like a maid servant, asking the pure devotee that what service can I do. But pure devotee is not at all bothered actually, looking at liberation, because liberation only mean that you are free from the cycle of birth and death. You are around, maybe you are, but actually that is not complete. No, that is the first step. Actually, becoming free or becoming pure is first step. Becoming detached is the first step, but actually you have to attach to something, right? Attach to Supreme Lord. So unless and until there is a higher taste or higher attachment, there is no it is not complete actually, like Mataji told, right? In Bhagavatam there is a shloka, no, Aruhya Krishna Param. Basically, no, not Parambara, Aruhi Krishna. Basically, it says that this kind of liberated soul, because they don't have attachment to the lotus feet of Krishna, they again come back. They again fall down. So the people who are just liberated, no, they will not be eternally liberated. They will have to come back here, even if you are attaining, no, like you merge to the Brahman. That is actually only not a complete state. But once you go to the spiritual world, yad gatva na nivartande tadama paramamama. Once you reach the spiritual eternal abode of the Lord, then you will never come back here. But just becoming liberated can also be possible by following the other path actually. Just becoming a dhyani or like like becoming a ashtanga yogi, you can attain liberation actually. But then that liberation is not perfect, completely perfect, unless until you become attached to Krishna. Right? That's what actually Mataji was trying to explain.
Prabhuji, one more point is there. Even if you are getting liberated, also again we need to come down,
Yeah.
because in liberation,
Yes.
Prabhuji, there is like we won't be having any work, and human tendency is like to work to serve to others. So again we'll be taking birth again in on this
Yes.
earth, and then only by devotional service only we can go back.
Yes, Mahaprabhu. Very nice. Very nice point. So here actually there is one shloka in Bhagavatam 7.10. This is very important shloka. Like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also used to speak about, no, Atmarama, the shloka about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave 64 different explanations.
Prabhuji, we can't hear you.
Yes,
And
it's
here,
Prabhuji. Prabhuji, you have become freezed.
okay, but I can hear you.
Yes, Prabhuji, now we are able to hear.
Is it fine now?
Yes,
Yes,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, it's fine now.
Okay, I think this is a problem. I think
We are able to hear now, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So this shloka, uh,
Again, we can't hear you, Prabhuji.
40, 40, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50,
Breathing.
20.
Can't hear, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Now we can hear, Prabhuji.
Okay. Now I'm audible, no?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So this shloka says that Sudha all different varieties of Atmaramas, those who are take pleasure in the Atma or spirit self, especially those established on the path of self-realization, though freed from all kind of material bondage, decide to render unallowed devotional service unto the personality of Godhead. This means that the Lord possesses transcendental qualities and therefore can attract everyone, including the liberated souls. So just being liberated actually is not the highest platform. No, that's what actually indirectly this shloka is saying. So yeah, I think there are more technical things, but we will not go into that. So yeah, this is Sudha Goswami. No, Sukadeva Goswami is an example. So Sukadeva Goswami was a liberated soul from birth. From the right from the birth, he was already liberated. But actually, no, then actually he takes pleasure in Srimad Bhagavatam. Initially, he was not interested in. He was pursuing the path of impersonal liberation. But actually, after hearing from Vyasdeva, his father, he attained taste for devotional service, and then he glorifies devotional service. So then, the four Kumaras are also like that. The four Kumaras also they were impersonalist initially, but actually when they visit Vishnu, and then they smell the aroma of the tulsi which is offered to the Lord Vishnu, actually they become attracted to the transcendental form of the Lord, and then they actually then they also give up this path of impersonal liberation and they become attracted. So like that, there are many examples to prove the point that impersonal liberation or okay, any other point, devotees?
So maybe a small question like liberation also again there is a chance to come back to the
Yes,
material world.
yes, Prabhu. That's what actually me and
Yeah,
even our Smith Prabhu also told. No? For that,
yeah.
actually, if you want the proof, I can show the one shloka is there in Bhagavatam, which actually I mentioned. No, Aruhi Krishna. Exactly, I don't remember the word exactly. Aru here. Uh, I may not get actually. Uh, yeah, this is on 10.2. 10.2.32. So this shloka is saying that ye anya ravindaksha vimuktamaninas tvaya ashta bhavad avishuddha buddhaya aruhya krichena param padam tada padanti ado anadrita yushman angraya. What does it say? Someone may say that aside from the devotees who always seek the shelter of the Lord's lotus feet, there are also who are not devotees but who accept a different process of attaining salvation. What happens to them? In answer to this question, Lord Brahma and other demigods said, O lotus-eyed Lord, although not position may think themselves liberated, their intelligence is impure. They fall down from this position of imagined superiority because they have no regard for your lotus feet. This is the point, actually. Again, one more slogan in Bhagavad Gita I just quoted 10.9.3. Ashraddha dana purusha dharmasya sya parantapa aprapyamam nivartande mrityu samsara vartamani. Those who are not faithful on the path of devotion service cannot attain me, O conqueror of foes, but return to the birth and death in this material world. It doesn't matter whether one is a karmi, gnani, yogi, philanthropist, politician, or whatever. If one has no love for the lotus feet of the Lord, one falls down. That is the verdict given by Lord Brahma. So, like that, there are multiple places. It's mentioned. So, impersonal liberation is not. And Sumit Prabhu also mentioned, right? There is no variety. No, it is mentioned. Aside from the devotees, there are many other non-devotees, karmis, etc. Blah blah. Altruist, politician, impersonalist, and voidist. There are many varieties of non-devotees who have their respective ways of liberation, but simply because they do not know the shelter of the Lord, lotus feet, although they falsely think of liberated and elevated highest position, they fall down. Because actually, no, that's what I know. Jivara Swarup, no. Basically, the living entity's nature is to be always active. What is that? Kaschit Kshanamapi. It's mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, I think. Kaschit Kshanamapi. So that should say that even a living entity cannot be idle.
Prabhuji, we can't hear you, Prabhuji.
Always want, so because of or no variation or no variation.
Yeah, we are hearing, but in between there is hiccups. Somewhat times it's stopping and coming like this.
Yeah, I think anyway, almost we are on end of the session.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions of the devotees? Or else we'll wind up. We will chant together, and we can end the session. Okay, let us read. Preaching is essence.
Prabhuji,
Hare
one
Krishna,
question,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Nivedita Mataji questions also was there. Point.
What is that, Prabhu?
In that notepad, one more point was there.
I think we have covered, no, Prabhuji, everything like similarly.
Five angles of bhakti. Yeah, it's covered, I think, Prabhu.
Crossing over the material existence by staying in Mathura and the devotional service, which is our goal of life, can be achieved easily if you stay in this pilgrimage, like holy places like Madura and all, because the transcendental nature of these places are like they are very powerful. So it is very easy for practicing bhakti in these places. Apart from that, the atmosphere is so the atmosphere is totally engaged with association of devotees. It is fully charged with the sounds of vibrations of the Lord. So it is very easy to remember the Lord in those places, and which will also awaken the love of the Lord. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Mataji, I can hear.
Yeah, those are the things like easily achieved. We can easily achieve the devotional service and very easy to cross over the material existence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So maybe I can just give a few points to just to add actually.
Yes.
Some of the there is, I think right now we are not able to complete. So basically, when we go to a holy dham, we should always go with devotees. So we should not go alone, especially when we are not advanced. When you are very advanced devotee, then it may be okay. But in the initial stage, we should always visit holy place with with other devotees. The reason is that because see, the committing offense I mentioned, right? If you commit an offense, it is magnified many times. So when we are going with the other devotees, then the tendency to commit offenses will be less, and we should not think about any sense gratification. No, when we go with the family, we may continue to do sense gratification even in a holy dham. So that becomes a great offense actually. So that is why we should go with other devotees who are already already visited the holy place, right? So our tendency to commit offenses is minimized, and it is recommended. For example, if you go to Vrindavan or other holy places, we should not stay very long period actually. When you are visiting, maximum like 2 to 3 days is what is recommended. Okay, because the more you stay, the more we may take it for granted, and then we may start committing offenses. So initially, this is what is recommended. But when we are very advanced in devotional service, some of the devotees will go and settle in a holy dham, right? So when we are completely confident, then we may be able to do that actually. But until that time, no, we should avoid staying longer period and going alone in a holy dham. Okay, this is very important.
And this is crossing over material existence is getting rid of the life cycle of life, birth and death, isn't it?
Yes, bro. Mataji. Yes, Mataji.
Yeah.
Existence is Baba. Yeah, existence is material
Janma
world,
Mrityu
right?
Jara Vyadhi.
Yes. Okay, good. So I think we'll move on. 1 second. I'll stop. This recording is enough, I think. So let us quickly read the remaining.